Welcome to the Peak Natty Podcast, episode 2. Today we have Davis Penny on. He is Mr. Mog Waffle himself, fitness influencer, OCB competitor, soon to be OCB pro, absolutely killing it. Welcome. How are you doing, Davis?
I'm feeling amazing. I'm hyped for this. This is my first ever podcast. Dude, I can't wait to see where this podcast is gonna go, bro. I love seeing you do this. You're my boy, obviously. So I'm just hyped. That's all I can say.
Dude, hell yeah. So a little bit of history between us, but Davis has come out to AZ, stayed with me. You know, we've done the whole 9 yards, got some nasty lifts in, filmed some good content. But other than that, he lives all the way in Michigan. I live down here in Phoenix, Arizona. So we're separated by distance, but, you know, we keep up with each other a good amount. And hopefully he can come back down here soon, or I'll come back up to Michigan this summer or something like that. We definitely need a collab round too. First question for you. Tell everyone who doesn't know too much about you, kind of about yourself, where you're at right now. So tell them about how TikTok's going, Instagram, what bodybuilding show prep is going to look like here shortly, and a little up to date on who you are.
Yeah, so I'm Davis Penny. Right now, I'm at the end of my off-season phase, bulking phase, whatever you want to call it. I have 6 weeks till I start prep. I start prep in March, and I have a show in June. It is the Michigan Cup, I believe, in the OCB, and I'm going for my pro card. That's all I can say right now. I'm going for my pro card, Natty Pro. I'm really excited. I've taken this off season super seriously, had everything dialed in. I've been posting pretty much everything. I've been locked on my YouTube, I've been locked on TikTok, I've been locked on my Insta. Right now, I'm not in school. I don't have a job, so this is literally my life. You know, right now I'm just grinding. I want this so bad. Like I'm just grinding. Right, I have 44K on TikTok. I have like 2.5K on YouTube, and that's really what I've been really trying to dial in. It's looking good so far, but I'm looking to double my numbers this year, and I think that's definitely achievable. I'm going to bring the shreds. I'm going to bring the size. And we're going to take over this year. This is the year of Davis Penny.
And how many shows have you already competed in, and who's your coach?
Yeah, so I've only competed in one show so far. I competed in May of 2025. So last year, I placed 3rd in novice, 3rd in debut, and 5th in open. My coach is the Michael Donato. Right now, he's the GOAT of the OCB. Soon to take over as Coach Gabe, but we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about that right now. Once the testimonials come in, we'll be able to see who's the GOAT. But yeah, MD, he reached out to me like out of the blue. I had no followers. I had like sub 1,000 followers on TikTok. Bro reached out to me. Keep in mind, I was a fan of him. Like I have been watching him for a solid year. Like I've been following him on his YouTube, watching all his vlogs, and he reached out to me. I posted like 5 videos before that, and he was like, "Yo, have you ever competed before?" I was like, "Nah," and he said he would coach me. So I didn't even think I was going to compete. I didn't have any plans on competing, but I did that, and I came in pretty peeled. He got me peeled. That's the most shredded I've ever been, and for being the youngest guy on stage, I was the leanest and I had the best posing. So that's all I can say with attesting to that.
I'm gonna definitely get him on here one day, because he definitely is producing peak natties. So we definitely got to get him on the podcast. But I actually want to talk about that. So most people don't know his game. So what he was doing on his coaching come up is he would reach out to guys like Davis and hit them up and, convince them to do a prep, and he would coach them. And so he's done that for a lot of guys, where he scouts, man. He's a D1 scouter for raw talent. And, he takes that talent, gets them shredded, and puts them on stage. And he's done that with a lot of guys that have blown up and, made careers for themselves in the fitness industry. And I don't necessarily think it's competing, although competing does give you a good story to post about and people to follow along with your journey. I honestly just think it's getting so shredded, because at the end of the day, anybody that is trying to post and blow up needs to listen to this. No one wants to see your physique unless you're shredded, man. Unless you're aesthetic, unless you're peeled to the bone. Don't just post physique videos. Unless you're peeled to the bone, like if you want to post and you want to blow up, you need to provide value. You need to be funny, you need to be entertaining, and you need to get people to like you for who you are. Your brand needs to be yourself. So don't just spam crappy physique videos unless you're peeled to the bone on a bodybuilding prep or something like that. But yeah, a lot of people don't know the game that Michael was doing. So yeah, dude, he was scouting guys. He scouted some of the other guys though. I'm probably gonna have Caleb Deweese on this podcast. And he's
Yes, bro, you
another
have
he's
to.
another guy that Michael scouted and got him to compete.
Bro, it's actually crazy. Like it doesn't even make sense. He just like you said, he has an eye for talent, just reaching out to guys, DMing them. Like these are all cold approaches for people who are coaching or like any coaches that are watching this. I'm a coach and you're a coach. Most of our leads are warm, like they're coming to us. He's reaching out to these guys. Like he's just being like, yo, you should compete. And he has a level of influence because he did it himself and people look up to him. So like, oh my
He's got the
gosh, Michael
followers
Donato is
too. Yeah.
reaching out to me.
I guess I
Exactly.
have to
So it's like,
compete.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I have to do this.
I
Yes.
have to
And
compete.
then like coming back to what you were saying about like being lean and posting on social media, dude, when I first started posting, like I said, I had like 1,000 followers. I've been posting for not that long. It had been maybe like 2 months, but then I hop into a prep. Every single week, I'm getting more shredded. Every single week, I'm getting leaner. I'm losing weight. Like it's all body fat. It's just shredding off me. I just saw my numbers increase. I was hitting a viral video like every other day. Like it made no sense. Within 3 months, I gained 20,000 followers, and I wasn't posting any informational videos. There was no value. I was literally just like being shredded. I was like just sitting in front of the camera for 8 seconds and just being shredded. And I would just spam that, and it gained me most of my following was just being shredded. And I mean, that's all you really need these days if you want to blow up. You don't really need a personality, unfortunately. I mean, you can have that, but if you want to blow up, literally just get as shredded as you can. Like if you want to blow up quick, obviously. Like look at guys like Jesse. That doesn't make sense, bro. That doesn't even make sense. It's not fair. He's 19. He's 19, bro.
Dude,
like,
sometimes
that's not
like
fair. He's huge.
Yeah, they call those type of guys Lamborghinis. So real talent as a coach is like you obviously want to work with some Lamborghinis, and those are the guys that go pro and things of that nature. But real talent as a coach, just if you guys are ever looking to hire a coach or hire a coach for bodybuilding prep, is when you can take someone that's kind of like a nobody and doesn't have insane genetics and make something great of them and bring a insane package to stage. Because man, it's easy to work with someone that already has everything. They have the genetics, they're already lean, they already look insane. But when you have this transformation where someone goes from no one to someone, that is my favorite type of transformations to make, and my favorite type of preps to do as a coach is, dude, just like those all-out transformations where you're like, dude, this kid was nobody before this cut, like, and then after the cut, they lock in, they follow, absolutely everything to a T, and you produce a great result. That's like one of the best feelings, right? Wrapping up a cut as a coach. But speaking of coaching, how has your coaching been going? I see that you are providing a lot more like value on lean bulking. I like kind of what you do, right? You post in the certain situation and just the things going on in your life. And right now in your life, right, you've nailed the lean bulk, you've upped your calories, and you're posting a lot about the lean bulk and helping other guys with lean bulking. So tell me a little bit more about how coaching is going and how you nailed your lean bulk as well, and how many pounds you're up from stage weight.
I got you. Yeah. With my coaching, I didn't think I was going to have as much interest as I did when I first started there. Cause I, like I said, I kind of fell into that niche of now I'm the lean bulk guy. Now I put on X amount of weight in this amount of time and I still look kind of lean. So I have all these skinny guys who are reaching out to me. Yo, can you help me with my lean bulk? Yo, how many calories should I eat? Like what can I be eating to gain weight? And there was a lot of roadblocks to get there. I didn't really know where to start. I didn't really know exactly what I was doing, helping other people. I just knew that it worked for me. So I've definitely learned a lot coaching. I've learned how to throw people into a proper lean bulk, because at the start it was like, oh, maybe you shouldn't be lean bulking. Maybe this isn't really a lean bulk anymore. You're just eating clean and putting on excess body fat. So I definitely learned a lot, and I've still helped a lot of people so far. I have a good amount of guys on the team right now, and I'm only looking to go even further with this. With social media, I've said this a lot now, but there's like no money in like lower, like if you have lower amounts of followers, like less overall influence, I would say, which I don't think I have no influence, but less overall influence, there's not that much money. I think I've made maybe $50 off TikTok the whole time, and then like $50 off shop ads. So like just being super transparent with that, because it's not very much money.
Yeah.
The best way to do it is just coaching, and I'm okay being transparent with that, because at the end of the day, I'm still helping people. I'm helping people reach their dream physique, helping them do a lean bulk, gain size without putting on very much body fat. And like, I love seeing it get pushed more to lean bulk, because this dirty bulk propaganda is dead now because of that. People are seeing you don't need to get fat anymore to get huge. There's no point in doing that. And I'm a really, really good contender for that. But overall, now from stage weight, when I hopped on stage, I was 147 pounds, which is really light. I was pretty small, and now we are up to a measly 164 pounds. So we're still pretty light, but I'm not the tallest guy. I'm like 5'9". But from stage weight, that's pretty big increase. I'm feeling good about it. It's 17 pounds, and I would say I'm sitting now around 14% body fat. If I'm being generous, I was probably 7% on stage. I was pretty lean, like ab veins, quad veins, just like no glute striations or anything. But yeah, I mean,
17 pounds in how long?
I feel good with more. It's been, I competed at the end of May. It was basically June. So
That
July,
is a
August,
nail to
September.
reverse, guys.
That's 6 months, 17 pounds.
So anyone listening to this that's done a prep, they know how hard that is, because your hunger is through the roof post show. So it is so hard to do that and not gain a bunch of weight right after post show, but instead taking it slow and slowly putting on, that 10 pounds and then eventually pushing up to 7 pounds as you upped your calories is super impressive. Because dude, if you're eating out, if you're not tracking calories, if you're not staying dialed on your off-season cardio, like your weight will shoot up post-show. So, dude, as someone who's competed many times and had my hunger through the roof, and I've had a bunch of shoot ups in weight, especially after my first show. When I was still inexperienced, I applaud you for that, especially your first show. Like usually after everyone's first show, everybody post show binges, shoots up in a ton of weight, whether it's 10 to 30 pounds. Obviously there's horror stories of some people gaining even more within the first couple months. Doing that and nailing a reverse diet after your first show as like a rookie is no easy feat. I harp on my guys so much to nail their lean bulk, because of how important it is for growth, for staying lean, for setting yourself up for a bulk, for staying insulin sensitive, and overall health. It's not healthy to gain, that much weight that fast. Dude, nailing a reverse diet of that caliber after your first show is super impressive. What are, like a couple things that helped you stick to it that well?
Okay. Yeah, being brutally honest here, it's going to be kind of embarrassing, but I'm going to be honest. The biggest thing was I was so scared that my followers were going to think I was fat. That I thought I was like, oh, they're going to think I'm fat. They're going to unfollow me. Yeah, that was like the worst thing for me, was they're going to think I'm fat. And the reason why they followed me is because I'm shredded. So that was a huge like motivational factor, where I was like, I'm not going to cheat on my diet. I'm not going to have a crazy off-plan meal just because I want to look good for my socials. And that was the biggest factor for me. The way that I was also able to do it so easily is I was pretty lenient. Like I was still having my ghosts. I was still having like diet Pepsi, diet Coke, stuff like that. That just made it easier. I was having like keto bread, because the last few weeks of prep, I I couldn't have any of that. So I was like, oh, this is light work now because I can have these foods that are helping me out. And then like my cardio just slowly cut that back. And I looked forward to seeing my cardio drop and my calories increase. I wasn't being impatient about it. I was just like, oh, next week we'll up it. I started losing weight actually on my reverse. I would up my calories to like 2,800 from like 2,700. And then a week later, I would lose weight. And then I would up it to 3,000. And I would lower my cardio to like 20 minutes and I would lose weight again. So that's when I knew I just had to keep upping it. And now I'm eating 3,600 calories, which is kind of crazy and very inconsistent on cardio, if I'm being honest, which I can't be anymore, but very inconsistent on cardio. I'm doing like 20 minutes, probably on average 4 times a week of stairs. And I'm on 3,600 calories, which I struggle to get down now. Bulking is kind of hard. Can't lie.
Dude, people don't realize that when you nail a reverse and you stay insulin sensitive, like you can bump up your maintenance calories really, really high, especially if you keep nailing
Unreal.
it. It's your body is just such in a prime state after being depleted in a calorie deficit for that long and is just ready for food. So when you slowly increase it with clean whole foods that you've already been eating, dude, it's awesome, man. And then you just put on straight size, dude, straight size. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I,
dude, you're
wa- I wanted
looking.
to ask, yeah, I wanted to ask you what you think, like when I go back into my show prep, like what do you think for me, like my calories, do you think they'll stay way higher than they were? Like, how does that work?
So here's the thing. So for everyone listening, this is how it works. When you are in a calorie deficit and you're trying to cut, you do have to drop your calories from what you were bulking at a pretty significant account to make a difference. And here's why. So you can like kind of push your calories up pretty high and not gain that much weight, right? Or you can, stay at a maintaining weight. And obviously, like your new maintenance or your new slight surplus is 3,600 calories. But if you were to drop that by a little bit, you probably wouldn't lose weight at all. You've got to drop it by a decent amount and then some. And when you drop your calories, what happens is you'll start like moving less. You have a little bit less energy and your NEAT will go down. You'll just burn less calories throughout the day, whether it's talking, moving around, just moving around the house, like not as fast when you're not eating as much. And then you burn less calories through expenditure. And then so to make up for, the previous, NEAT that you were doing, you have to drop it a little bit more. So typically, like, dude, coming off the bulk, you're gonna want to drop it at least off the start, 600 to 800 calories just to probably see some weight loss.
No, no.
'Cause you got to think about a pound a week is a
That's so bad.
3,500 calorie deficit. So to make a 3,500 calorie deficit, you've got to be right in a 500 calorie
Mhm.
surplus or deficit, sorry, every single day. So to be in a 500 calorie deficit, you got to be 500 calories below maintenance. And honestly, 3,600 probably isn't your true like maintenance. It's probably slightly above
Yeah.
your true maintenance,
Yeah.
right? Probably is, maybe like 3,300, 3,400. So you would subtract like 500 from that, like I said, and go down a
That's
decent
so
amount
brutal.
to just lose a pound a week. And
Yeah.
that's only a pound a week. That's not even like
Yeah,
sometimes like I have some of my guys on like a 2 pound a week rate of loss. Some of them are losing like 3 pounds a week, right? When
dude.
you really up in the cardio.
Is that because they're a little bit like higher body fat, so they need to
Yeah.
push it harder?
When you're
Yeah.
when you're higher body fat, it's easier to lose more weight per week. Just because
Yeah.
you have to, and like they're less fatigued. Fatigue and like the
Mm,
hormones crashing honestly really comes not from the deficit, not from low carbs, not from, not eating enough fats like a lot of people say. Dude, they've done studies. As long as you're getting like 20 grams of fat in, obviously you should eat more than this, but as long as you're getting 20 grams of fat in, your hormones aren't gonna lower from lack of fat. It's truly just the low body fat,
man.
right? Our bodies are not meant to be 7%, 8% body fat. So
Yeah.
when you're a higher body fat, a more aggressive cut works a lot better.
Yeah.
Versus
Okay,
if
that
you're
makes a lot
already
of
lean,
sense.
you can take it slow. So
Right.
if you're,
Okay.
so how many
What do you?
pounds above stage weight are you?
Yeah, 17 pounds.
Okay. So yeah, if you're
But
17
like,
pounds above stage weight, obviously you've put on muscle though. So say,
mhm.
say just to come in peeled to the bone, say you got to lose 15 pounds, right? So, obviously whatever, however many weeks out you're starting, a good rate of loss is 1 pound a week. And, that's not too much of a deficit. So
That's not that
500
bad.
calories a day. Cake. Well, and you can make up some of that 500 calorie deficit with some cardio. So
Yeah, I'll be doing, you know how MD runs
yeah,
his.
MD
Well,
push
for
is
anyone that doesn't know, Michael, the way he does things is he keeps your calories as high as he can have them, and then he just makes you do so much cardio. Like most of us are doing, I think the lowest I've ever seen a guy do stair wise is like 50 minutes, like at the end of his prep. And
yeah.
I was doing 70 minutes at the end of my prep for the last like month. 70 minutes of stairs. Obviously not all at once, but 70 minutes a day. And it's brutal. But my calories were also pretty high. I was getting like the lowest they went was 2,400. So, but obviously I was burning so much. So
You
it didn't really
you
matter.
excited to get that shredded again for this
I'm
show?
so unbelievably excited to get that shredded again, but I'm not looking forward to doing the stairs. That's the only thing that I'm like not trying to do all those stairs, but at the same time, I just know every time I get up there, number one, I'm going to be more peeled, and then number two, it's me getting closer to my pro card, regardless if I get it this time or next or whatever. But I'm planning to just keep pushing for my pro card. If I don't win it that first show, just stay lean and then do like a quick little, deplete and then do another show and just keep running it over the summer, like till I can't take it anymore. Or yeah, like I want it so bad. I want to be a natty pro so bad.
Peak natty, baby. What is your
Yes, sir.
why behind bodybuilding? Like, what got you into the love of the sport? Because for anyone that's going to do a prep, especially if you're going to be doing back-to-back shows, a full season, tell you, get this pro card. What is your why that keeps you going? Because, man, it takes a lot to do that, man. Mentally, physically, it's a lot.
That's a good question. I mean, if we're gonna get really deep here, I mean, surface level, it was literally just because Michael told me. Like
Yeah.
ultimately that he was like, "Yo, you should do it," and I'm like, I look up to this guy. I think it'd be cool, but like deeper level, this is the only thing in my life that I've ever had that I felt passionate about. I have done sports, I've done school, and I've never been passionate about anything. I've never put 100% effort into anything in my entire life. I'm overall a pretty lazy person, which sounds kind of funny because I just said I do 70 minutes of stairs a day while meal prepping and doing all this content, but it's because I'm passionate about it. When you find something that you're passionate about, you don't feel like you're working anymore. It doesn't feel like a burden. So I found my passion for it and I just fell in love, dude. Like I genuinely, it's more than just going to the gym. It's more than just like eating the food to me. It sounds corny, but it genuinely is my whole life. And I'm able to put all of my passion and love into the sport. And that's why I want the pro card. That's why I want to be an natty pro. There's like some aura behind it, but at the same time, I just know that I'll have a top level natural physique at that point. And bodybuilding is just is just like the way for me to express who I am, because I feel like that's ultimately me at my core is just working hard and like seeing myself level up at a physical level.
Dude, there's something about working towards a goal every single day. And then when that day finally comes, it's the most fulfilling day ever, right? You work toward weeks and weeks and weeks,
Literally.
all towards one show. And you put in so much work, so much blood, sweat, and tears. And when that show day finally comes, it is so fulfilling, especially if you worked your butt off, especially if you brought a great package. No matter how you place, it is a fulfilling day. So fulfilling. There's nothing else like it. And besides chasing that goal every day, besides that purpose, besides that passion behind your purpose, I also just love the bodybuilding lifestyle. Like I love eating healthy. I love training hard in the gym. I love lifting with guys. Just lifted with a good friend today. So many good conversations while you're lifting, pushing each other harder. I also love just getting cracked on caffeine and, the zero sugar
Yes.
lifestyle and people hating on you for your diet choices. Like, I couldn't be happier with the bodybuilding lifestyle that I've developed for myself and that I get to help others live as well. Like, those are just two things why bodybuilding is so fun and so awesome. And you literally get to see yourself get better every single day. It's you chasing
Literally.
the best version of yourself. It's self-improvement at the end of the day. And it leaks over into other
Right.
areas of your life, right? It starts with your body. It starts physically, then it leaks over to the mental side of things. And then I truly believe the ultimate, right? The ultimate pinnacle of self-improvement is chasing a relationship with God. And by the end of it, dude, you have your physical mastered, you have your diet mastered, your health is in check, your spiritual is in check, you're mentally tough. Like, bodybuilding, as long as you don't do it in a vain steroid, health risk type of way, in my opinion, I think it is one of the best ways to improve yourself as a man.
Dude, that was beautiful. I had this conversation. I don't know if you know Ryan Recta.
I
Like,
do.
do you know who he is?
He's a
Yes.
very, very inspiring young guy. I definitely might have to have him on here.
Love that guy. Yeah, you have to, bro.
Yeah,
He
he's a
would be
peak
such a
natty. He
good
looks sick.
podcast. He's so well spoken too. But me and him were having a conversation. We were doing Stairmaster actually when he came to visit real quick, and he was telling me how he was struggling to, it was like, get up in the morning and go do his cardio. And this was after his show and after everything. And he's like, bro, it was like 10 a.m. and he was gonna go just hit a lift and do some cardio and then go to work after. He was like, he was dreading it. Like, he did not want to, and he was considering not even going. And then he remembered back when he was in prep, and he was like, I would literally wake up at like 6 a.m., go do fasted cardio, come home, do some homework. Then I would go to the gym, work out, and then I would go work a shift at work. And I was like, dude, not only is that like insane that you were balancing all that, but you're right. Like, when you're in that mode of like being in prep, you can get so much done, and you're just like you said, everything's super in check. Like, it leaks over into other aspects of your life. Like, everything is just super structured when you're a bodybuilder. And I really like that aspect of it, because I remember last prep, it literally changed my whole life. I didn't think I would ever be able to be as lean as I was. And I didn't think I'd be able to get that lean while doing everything else in my life. I was still in school, going to my classes while doing 60 minutes of cardio in the morning, and then going back to the gym later in the day, well fitting classes in. And it just leaks over into everything in your life. And I love that aspect of it, like you said.
And something about bodybuilding is, if you keep that structure and you keep that drive in the off season like you did, you will be rewarded. The best bodybuilders are the ones that keep that structure in the off season, and they go just as hard diet wise, cardio wise, training wise, and structure wise in the off season as they do in prep. And that's why a lot of people fail, is because they go so hard in prep, they burn themselves out, and then they have no structure. They get rid of their routines after the show, and then they binge up in weight. They stop doing their non-negotiables, and they kind of get fat, and then they get back into it in a prep, but they don't progress nearly as much as someone who keeps that structure and keeps those habits in the off season, right? A good
Yep.
bulk, a good proper lean bulk, right, where you keep your structure in the off season as a bodybuilder, is often better than, a prep. So I really harp on that with clients,
Dude.
and make it so important that you have to keep your structure, keep your habits, and keep your routines post show. So anybody listening to this, if you're going to compete soon, the number one tip I can give you in order to nail your reverse and not be a depressed bodybuilder post show, because a lot of people get what's called post show blues, where all those things happen to them. They
Yep.
lose their structure. Number one tip for you is stick to your routine. My coach, AJ Morris, one of the best bodybuilding coaches in the world, natural, has taught me that with bodybuilding, routine is everything. So if you can keep your routine, you're going to be able to keep your shreds. You're going to be able to keep your mentality, and you're going to have a very, very productive post show window, because that routine keeps you anchored. It keeps you sane mentally. It keeps you dialed. It keeps you disciplined. And, if you love your routine, you're going to love your diet, and you're not going to be going off diet and binging up in weight like a lot of people do.
Yeah. So what do you think? What do you think for me then? As a coach, I did this off season virtually perfect. Like we'll say 85%. I was pretty dialed. I was taking all my training to failure. I only skipped a few days in the gym. I've only had like minimal off-plan meals. My recovery's been pretty good, like 85% of the time. Going into my next show, I want your professional opinion. Do you think it's possible for me to become a natural pro? It depends on who shows up and everything, but like, what do you think? Be
I'm going to
honest, brutally
say
honest.
I'm going to say it depends who shows up, because as a coach, right, you aren't the biggest guy. You don't have a ton of muscle tissue on you just because you are young, right? So the only people that
Mhm.
are even going to have a ton of muscle tissue on them around your age are people that have been training since they were, 13, 12, like Caleb DeWeese, right? He's been training since he was like 12, right? That's why he is so filled out.
Yeah,
That's
I
why he
guess
has so much muscle tissue. How long have you been training bodybuilding wise?
bodybuilding wise,
Yeah.
like 2 years, but like training 4.
Okay. Well, that's the thing. You just haven't been training that long where you have, pro level muscle tissue. But I think if you come in stage lean, which you will, and you have really good posing, you can place really high, and you can earn a pro card if someone bigger than you doesn't show up. But I think if someone older shows up in their 20s, late 25s, they're just going to have more muscle on them, and they're going to beat you, just because the OCB does prefer size a lot of the time. Like I see it time and time again with these OCB judges. They kind of just pick the guy that's bigger. Even if you come out lights out peeled,
Mhm.
if the guy comes in at least in somewhat proper conditioning, they're going to pick him. So unfortunately, in the OCB, you can't just come in more shredded than everybody and expect to beat guys bigger than you. But I would say if you come in with perfect posing, perfect stage presence, and a peeled back and core, you could beat someone slightly bigger than you, because you do have a very good men's physique frame, right? I would say that your dominant muscle groups are your shoulders and your chest. And that is exactly what they look for, in men's physique. You also have a good back that you've grown, especially I noticed on this lean bulk, and you grew your arms a ton on this lean bulk, right? So I think it just really depends who shows up. But I think you have pro level proportions. I think you just need more size, in all honesty, from a professional opinion. But you can't expect to have a ton of size with how long you've been training, right? That would just mean you're not natty, right? So
That's valid. Okay, yeah, I like that response. So if you were to coach me, what would this even be something that you think is a smart idea? Or do you think it like if I really want to become a pro, I should just take another year and go? I mean, like what's the most ideal situation for me to turn pro? Like what's the protocol you'd run?
yeah, Coach Gabe thoughts. I would lean bulk because of how well you're nailing it and because of how well you're growing. I would lean bulk for all of 2026 still, and honestly compete 2027 summer, just because if you do want to go through just the absolute pain of getting stage lean and put that grind in and put that cardio in, you might as well go for a win. And I think you'll have a lot more muscle tissue on you after another year of lean bulking. Like I remember when I was in college, I was a sophomore. I lean bulked for an entire year, and that got me more gains than I could have ever thought, just because you just put your head down and grow for an entire year. So I could only imagine what an entire year of growing would do for you, especially with how dialed you are nutritionally and how hard you're training. And I think you would come back with a pro level physique hands down, just because a whole nother year would allow you to put so much more tissue on. Because you can grow in the first part of prep, but as you get stage
Mhm.
lean and you pull back down towards your stage weight, you're gonna get peeled again, and you're gonna be below sub 10% body fat, where you're not putting on muscle anymore and your body's not at homeostasis. So I honestly, it just depends what your goals are, but obviously, yeah, if you bulk for another year, you're gonna have way more size, and you're gonna come back with a hands down pro level physique. But right now, I think it just depends who shows up to your show.
See, that's hard now, because my goal is to turn pro, but
Mhm.
I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm like super impatient. That's
Yeah.
something that I really struggle with, is I am super impatient. For those that don't know, I was supposed to compete in June, like, of last year. I was supposed to compete the 14th of June, and I decided to choose a show that was further away but sooner, because I didn't want my prep to be longer, because I just wanted to get on stage. And I mean, ultimately, I don't think it affected that anything that much, but now what I'm hearing is it could affect if I win a pro card or not, because let's say I do go into a prep, it would start in 6 weeks from now, which is pretty
Yeah.
soon. And I ultimately probably would only be able to gain size, muscle tissue, and it would be a lot less than I would be if I was lean bulk, but 12 weeks of actually building muscle. And then I have to then reverse out of that. And then I have another, what, 6 months to get size again. And then I go for it. I go for my pro card when I virtually put on like minimal size, versus if I took this full year to lean bulk, there's a higher chance of me getting that pro card.
I just
But
have to I just
obviously,
have to
I'm
tell
really
you what I tell everyone, right? So I tell everybody this. If you play the long game, it will always reward you, right? Sometimes people ask me, "Yo, when are you competing next?" And I tell them I'm taking 2 years off to lean bulk. And they're like, "What? What? What?" But they don't understand that bodybuilding is a time game. And the more time you have and the more time you just put your head down to grow, because you can't grow if you're always dieting, right? Usually, like, people will say, like, "Oh, when are you competing next?" I'm like, dude, I'm not probably competing again for another 3 years, because in all honesty, if you're always dieting, you can't grow. So people don't understand that you got to play the long game. You've got to play the long game with bodybuilding, whether it's a prep. You've got to have a long, slow prep, especially as a natural, so you don't have to pull down too fast and lose muscle mass and, be on too low of calories. And also with the bulk, man, you got to play the long game. So that's the same thing I would tell anybody. So anybody that's listening to this, especially if you are a newer bodybuilder or newer lifter and you're kind of younger still, man, hire a coach, put your head down and lean bulk. Get on a set program, progressive overload, beat your numbers from the week before every single week, and just grow and just grow and just grow. And then, when you're in your 20s and you've got some size on you, then you can go ahead and run full seasons where you've got some mass to be competitive, and you can do like 3 or 4 back-to-back shows. And be a successful bodybuilder. But I think way too many people these days are eager to get on stage so soon. Like, dude, I was just at an OCB show in Tucson, and there were like 16 and 17-year-olds competing. I'm like, man, you're going through puberty. You do not need to be getting stage lean. Just grow, just grow. Maybe
that's
compete like once, maybe compete, maybe do a show, right? Just to get shredded while you're young. Do one when you're 18, 19, just for the experience, to find out if you love bodybuilding. And then after you do that, just grow. And then come back to the stage when it's time and it's your time to shine. So that's what I would recommend to any newer lifter or younger kid.
that's valid. Okay. Well, maybe I have some reevaluating to do, but I don't know. It's hard because we were just talking about how social media rewards being shredded, and I'm not saying that like, you're giving me two different, opinions. You're saying that, um, to be a good bodybuilder, having a good off season is going to be way more beneficial, because it will ultimately reward me with most likely, or a higher chance of winning my pro card. But on the other hand, we both know that social media rewards that really shredded physique, even if it doesn't have that size. So it's like these two, angel and devil on my shoulder because
Mm.
ultimately my business is my social media. But also this pro card would help with social media, but that's way longer down the line. And I just know that if I got really peeled again, really dry, looking like crazy shredded, it would benefit me even if I didn't win my pro card. But like it would look so much better for social media if I did win my pro card. So it's really, really difficult. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so I've always been told this. So chase the pro level physique, don't necessarily chase the pro card. Like, what does a pro card mean at the end of the day? I mean, it's cool, right? You become a natural professional bodybuilder in the league you compete in, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really hold that much value besides, saying that you are one. If you have a pro level physique and you bring a pro level physique to the stage, that is 10 times more, impressive because unfortunately there have been some people that have won pro cards in shows where like nobody showed up to where they don't look very good,
Yeah,
right? So
it's true.
at the end of the day, you want a pro level physique. And yes, it is good for social media to get shredded and to compete and have people give something like give people something to follow along with. But
Mhm.
if everything is good and you don't necessarily need that, then you don't have to. But you could always as long as you take some point, everybody needs to put their head down for at least 1 to 2 years and just grow and just grind. So maybe that's after this summer where you do that, right? And then you put your head down and just grow. Or maybe you do that this year and then go to the stage. But regardless, I do think every natural, in order to take their physique to the next level, you've got to put your head down and grind and push up in body weight and push up in body weight if you truly want to be the best one day and just have a crazy impressive natural physique, right? Dude, some of the most craziest physiques I've seen are guys that have pushed up immense like pounds in body weight over a few years, and then when they finally cut back down, they reveal all that muscle they built in the off season. And that muscle is built by just the strength gain. I've been talking about that recently, is the strength that comes with pushing up your body weight and better leverages and bulking is ultimately what puts on that next level of muscle mass that a lot of people never get to. It's not the calorie surplus, right? Just putting on extra muscle tissue than if you didn't have those calories. It's the calorie surplus, pushing your body weight up, which allows you to move more weight in the gym, giving your muscles new stimulus week after week, and you just get stupid strong, and then you just grow, man. Like imagine how much more you would grow if you just like add 50 to 100 pounds to every single one of your movements, right? For the same reps. And you do that over a few years. That's how you truly get stupid big. But to do that, you've just got to be progressing and progressing week after week with your head down, just playing the long game. And I think a lot of people don't ever do that. And that's why they kind of stay stagnant with their physiques, right? They will do a short off season, gain a little bit of size maybe, and then cut back down and then repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. So even if you do end up competing this summer, at least after these competitions, when you go all out for them,
Mhm.
if you do, definitely take off a good year or two after that just to grow and kind of reset your body because, dude, you put your body through hell getting stage lean as a natural.
Right. Okay. Okay, that makes
Speaking of
sense.
being
Yeah, I kind of
yeah,
like that idea. Yeah.
speaking of being natural, what is the reason you, Davis Penny, have stayed natural, and do you see yourself staying natural?
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, I know your feelings on this, but I'm gonna be transparent. I'm gonna be fully honest. So, so ultimately, right now, it's a big trend to have all these kids that are saying like, "Yo, should I hop?" Like people are telling kids to hop on because that's the most optimal time to hop on. No, that doesn't make any sense because a lot of these kids aren't dialed on their nutrition. They aren't dialed on their recovery. They aren't dialed on their training. So why would you hop on when you don't have any of the fundamentals set? That doesn't make any sense. You're not going to get all the benefits from them. You're destroying yourself for no reason because you just want that. You're impatient like me, I guess, but you're not doing the steps that I am. But with that, it just does not make sense. I hate this trend of pushing it onto younger kids that have been training for less than 4 years. That doesn't make any sense. But for me, I've stayed natural mainly because I want to see how far I can push myself. And I want that natural pro card because to me, that proves that I have a top level natural physique and that I have reached a level where I am honored for my natural abilities and how far I've pushed myself. So, I mean, we talked about people just you show up to a not very stacked show. But I think ultimately the sport is really growing right now and it's being pushed by people like me, like Jesse, like Dorian, who have competed and now it's getting more popular. So it's going to be a lot harder to get a natural pro card. But for me, once I get that pro card, it really proves that I have a top level natural physique. And after that point, it's not set in stone. It's not something that I'm like 100% in on, but I love bodybuilding. And if I wanted to take it to the next level, then it might be something that I consider, do a lot of research on after. But I right now plan on staying natural because I have not achieved my natural pro card. Once I achieve that, maybe I'll look into it, do a lot of research and decide if it's for me. So I'm not in one way or the other, but I don't plan on going to like pro natural shows ultimately. That's kind of where I stand right now. It's like a 50-50, I guess.
Man, I am just like I can't believe like these days with how much peptides and steroids are pushed. It is absolutely ridiculous, I think, because these kids will get on gear, they'll get on peptides at 16, 17, 18 years old, and they haven't even trained, but that's besides the point. They're getting on these things without being educated on them at all. They have no idea how to take them, what health subs to take with them, how to do it somewhat safely. They have no idea where to even get blood work to make sure their body's in a good
Yeah.
spot. And there's just so many things that they don't know that go wrong. They aren't educated on the side effects at all. They think that they can just do it because their favorite person on social media does it and is open about it, right? And it's sad almost. And it's sad when they're like beginner lifters because it's like, okay, lift a little bit naturally first at least, right? And then at the end of the day, I don't hate people who take gear. I don't hate people who take steroids. That's everybody's personal choice if they're willing to risk the side effects for the gains that PEDs give you, if they choose to do so. But I do really, really hate the people that push on these PEDs to the younger generation without educating them on the side effects. Because if you are going to choose to do PEDs, you need to at least know what state your body's in with blood work. You need to know what risks these things have with them, because a lot of kids think that they're completely safe and they have no idea what happens when you take too much of this stuff, when you're on high doses, what doses even look like, what a cycle even looks like. And it is just so sad to me, especially the young age. Like I'm all for, TRT and hormone replacement therapy to better your life when you're older and you need it. But in all honesty, guys, if you're a teenager hopping on gear for social media, like people take PEDs for social media to not even compete. Like, are you kidding me? Like, you're not even a bodybuilder who loves the sport, who's willing to risk your life for the sport. You're risking your life as a 17-year-old kid for social media. Like, that is the saddest, most vain thing I have ever heard. And then half the time these kids don't even make a career out of social media because they don't gain any traction or followers.
Right. Yeah. You have to have a base. You have to have a base of like some level of a physique where people are like, oh, okay, you look impressive. And then if you hop on, then okay, like people are gonna follow and be like, wow, okay, he's made a good transformation. But if you just come into the game already on roids, you don't know if people like your physique. You don't know if it's gonna gain traction. It's kind of brutal, honestly, because you're spending all this money and killing your health. And then not to mention something that I wanted to bring up is when you start at an earlier age, when you haven't been training as long, if you start taking tests and you're 160 pounds, you're in my position. If I start taking tests and I got to 170 pounds, whatever amount that I was taking to get to 170 pounds, I'm now going to have to up it to get to 180. And then I'm going to have to up my dosage again to get to 190. And I'm just going to have to keep getting higher and higher. So my ceiling is now lower. So that's why you should really push your natural limit as high as you can, like, because that means your PED ceiling becomes higher if you do choose to get gear. That's ultimately not the goal. Maybe you'll like your physique by the time you get to that top level natural physique if you become a peak natty, but that's kind of what I think about too.
At the end of the day, if you don't find confidence in yourself and you don't find your worth in God and you don't find, like the discipline that the sport creates, like gear and chasing a better physique with PEDs will never satisfy you. And, it will never, create fulfillment. Like Togi was just talking about this the other day, right? I don't know if you've seen the podcast with him where he's like a completely changed man. He was like, man, all the drugs, all the money, all the fame, all the steroids, his insane physique, right? When he was blasting gear, it never fulfilled him. It's never gonna make you feel happy, unless like it's never gonna do that for you. So if you're ever considering hopping on gear like that, I just hope that is not your reason. Like unless it's so sad to me, man. Like people are insecure on their own physiques. They don't want to put in the work naturally to achieve an elite physique naturally, which is 100% possible. There's so many naturals that have proved that, right? You just have to actually diet and you actually have to train hard and have some years of training under your belt, right? People want instant results and they don't even get the instant results from gear, from PEDs, because you still have to put in the work and you still have to do all these things. PEDs just speed up the process. So for the lazy individual, they're not going to do anything. And even if it does make your physique better, that's never going to fulfill you. It's never going to fulfill you.
Right.
So,
Bro, that's yeah. I want to say this. I don't know. Can I swear?
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
allowed
yeah.
to swear. Fuck Jeff Nippard for that one study where he said that if you're on roids and don't lift, that you'll have more gains than someone that is lifting naturally. I hate
Yeah,
that because my friends will bring that up to me, and I'm like, that's just not true. I don't know. That is the dumbest study to me. I don't think that's true at all. I think there's something wrong with that study. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that one pisses me off.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you this though. When I come back to the stage in 3 years, I'm gonna do a Not Natty show. Like in my season, I'm gonna run multiple shows and we're gonna cook some gearheads, bro. We're gonna
Hey,
mog some gearheads and beat them on stage as a natural. Just like one of my inspirations, the Brinks, right? He's done that. He was an IFBB pro and he beat guys not on gear. One of my main missions is to show that you don't need gear if you love bodybuilding, because there's a world of natural bodybuilding out there. One of the things I want to spread is promoting just the world of natural bodybuilding, because some people don't even like know all about the different organizations like the OCB, the WMBF, the INBA, my coach AJ's new league that he's creating, NBW, Natural Bodybuilding Worldwide. And there is some competitive lights out naturals out there that look like they've been taking gear for years, but they've just been working out naturally, training right, eating right properly for years. And it's crazy the physiques they can achieve. It just takes time, right? It's a middle-aged man's game. Just takes years and years of training as a natural. And I want to show that you can get there and you can chase all the bodybuilding dreams you want, and you can love the sport and you can compete at a high level naturally without having to hop on gear and compete, untested in the NPC. And even if you do want to compete in the NPC, you can get big enough, like what Brinks did, and be competitive against guys on gear as a natural, which is really, really cool. So when I compete in 3 years, obviously I'm going to be going for that tested IFBB Pro card at Ben Wieters in the NPC tested nationals, but I'm also definitely going to rip a local show that is untested just to beat some guys on gear and show that, if you put your head down and you get big as a natural, you can beat some of these roid heads. So that's one of my main missions, because a lot of people, their excuse for getting on gear and risking their health is that they have, higher bodybuilding dreams and they feel like called to, you know, take on the potential side effects for their love of the sport, for their love of bodybuilding, which is true in any sport, right? In football, right? If you make it to the NFL, you risk your life, you risk your brain, you risk your body parts every single game when you are getting out there and just banging heads and playing in that very, very physical sport, right? I played football in high school. It's a very, very physical sport. Same thing with wrestling, right? Lots of injuries, lots of potential risk. Same thing with bodybuilding, lots and lots of potential risk with steroids. But my mission is to show people and convince people that if they love bodybuilding, there is a route for naturals. There's different orgs to take over. There's different organizations to get your pro card in. There is very, very very, very competitive world championships and national championships in some of these bodybuilding natural leagues. And now the NPC has the new tested league, which is what I'm trying to take over, where you can become a tested IFBB pro. And they also have a pro show for those tested IFBB pros the next day, where the winner goes to the Olympia. So not a lot of people know this, but there was a black men's physique guy this year at the Olympia who was a natural. And the way he got there is he was one of the natural tested IFBB pros, and he won the tested pro show. And so that guy got to go to the Olympia. So we did have a men's physique guy who was a natural, a true peak natty at the Olympia this year. So it just shows that at the end of the day, man, like there is a path for natural bodybuilders. And so that's one thing I'm trying to spread. And then also, I do really, really want to share that I just personally don't think those PEDs are worth risking the side effects when you can have a sick physique naturally, right? At the end of the day, you know, people are going to make their own decisions, but if I can impact a few people's lives and show them that the natural bodybuilding world is awesome and so many, you know, great physiques can be achieved if you just lock in for a few years, you know, then I've done my job.
Bro, yeah. Bodybuilding is niche as is. And the natural bodybuilding world is even more niche. Like
Yeah, it's way smaller.
that's why I love what you're doing and what Michael's doing, because you guys are bringing eyes to the natural bodybuilding world, and it's definitely doing numbers. But something that I want to talk about was I feel like the biggest issue with PED use right now isn't even for bodybuilding. It's these kids that just want to look cool because they look up to David Lee, they look up to Jeff Side, they look up to John Skywalker, like the holy trinity of like fake natty guys who look like they could have naturally obtainable physiques, but they took gear to get there. And I mean, some people can vouch for David, but he's definitely not natural and wasn't natural. But anyways, that's the biggest issue that I see is these kids that want to hop on just because they want to be aesthetic. They just want to be aesthetic. They don't even care about bodybuilding. What do you think about that?
So this is the question I would ask them. So honestly, at the end of the day, you can tell someone, you know, the right thing, but it's not going to go through their head unless you make them realize it themselves. So you have to ask them questions that give them the epiphany and give them the realization themselves, because in their head, they're always right. And when you tell them something they don't want to hear, they're never going to listen. So something I would ask to all these guys hopping on PEDs, hopping on, you know, compounds that have risks to them for the vanity of looks and becoming aesthetic to not even compete in bodybuilding, I would just simply ask them, why is looking aesthetic worth risking your health for? And then like I would just want to hear their answer. Like, why is it worth risking your health to try to get leaner? Like, you know, you can get leaner naturally, right? Like, you know, you can get tan naturally. You know, you can, you know, diet and just follow a simple plan and look aesthetic as a natural without risking acne, bloating, potential health effects, potential liver effects, potential who knows what effects from high doses of compounds that have been out for a year, right? And so I just want to ask these guys, like, why is that worth it to you? Do you think, I would ask them this as well, do you think it will be worth it to your future self 10 years from now? Like, imagine yourself 10 years from now when you've matured, when you're not chasing girls every second of the day, when you're not obsessed with how you look because you think it'll give you more social status or more clout, when you're not obsessed with your look so much and the vanity of that, in 10 years, when you're a dad, would you look back at your old self and think that this is still the right decision? So I would just simply ask them that. I'd just say, why is it worth it to you? What do you think? What would you tell a 17-year-old kid that's asking you about hopping
Well,
on PEDs?
yeah. The reason why I brought that question up to you is I've committed to going on to live on TikTok every single day, and it's been like 3 days now. But yesterday, I had a 17-year-old kid come in and basically asked me if he thinks he should hop on. And I said, absolutely not. That doesn't make any sense because when you're 50 years old, you're not going to be like trying to mog anymore. That's not your main goal. You're like, he said he was okay with taking 20 years off his life. I'm like, yeah, but are you going to be saying that
Your
when you're
future
50?
self wouldn't say that. Yeah, exactly.
Your future, exactly. Like you're gonna want to live longer when you get to that point. You're gonna be like, no, please give me that 20 years back. But you're making that short-term decision for a long-term effect. That just doesn't make any sense. Like you're then his response to that was, oh yeah, I guess I'm gonna have grandkids and shit. Like, bro, what do you like? Of course, you're gonna have a family, you're gonna have grandkids. Like, you have more to live for than just being huge and being aesthetic. It's cool in the moment, and sure, you're gonna think like, oh, I'm okay taking 20 years off my life. I've already lived a while, and I've lived less time than that. Like for me, I'm not even 20, so it'd be like, oh, 20 years to me it seems like a long time, but once you're there, it's like, damn, I wish I had more time. And mugging in the moment, like, come on, bro. For just to look cool for social media, like even if you do blow up, okay, like I mean, unless that's your job, I guess, like that's
Dude,
the
and
only time that I can think that.
it takes the hard work out of it too. Like it's kind of like you didn't really earn it. If you get instant results and instant gratification with like hopping on things, and next thing you have an aesthetic, whatever physique that you want, you didn't really earn it, man. Like you didn't get there naturally. You know what I'm saying? You used assistance, and you wouldn't be looking like you do if you didn't have these certain compounds. So that's whatever. That's also another point of it, just the vanity of it all. But just my point also that I would just keep asking these kids is like, why can't you get there naturally?
So
Like,
what do you think of the AZ water guys then?
wow,
Like that whole crew.
Davis Penny dropping the absolute questions.
I know you know them, but
I think that it's okay to, hop on whatever PEDs. It's your own personal decision if you're willing to risk your health for it. But I don't think that you should be promoting it to your followers, especially when they are younger, especially when they probably don't know what they're doing. They probably don't have money to pay for a coach to help them do compounds and PEDs safely when it comes to dosing, when it comes to health subs, when it comes to, everything PEDs of that nature. So, at the end of the day, the only time I have a problem with someone is when they actually like claim natural when they're not, because you're just lying to an audience. And dude, why would you ever want to follow someone that lies to you? Like if I ever came out and like my whole brand is about being natural, right? I claim natural. If it ever came out that I was on gear or something like that, I would hope none of my followers mess with me,
yeah, that'd
because
be
you should
crazy.
never be able to like blatantly lie to your followers and then be okay with it. So I
Yeah.
think that these guys are open about it, right? Which is a good thing. If they claim natural while being on stuff, I think that is very, very wrong, very unethical, and no one should ever follow or forgive someone that claims natural when they're not. But it's the problem I have is the pushing on the audience. Like stop pushing things that have risks onto the younger generation that doesn't know what they're doing.
Do you think they're pushing it on them, or they're not directly promoting it? Obviously, they're just talking about it and they're showing their transformations from what they're taking. I know that is indirectly promoting, but they're not. They're just. It's like what Clavicular says. Like he's like, I'm not promoting it. I'm just saying what I'm doing. And if people want to take that as that's what they should do because it gives them the best benefits, then they can do that themselves. What do you think about that?
Yeah, honestly, I think that is well, that's what they kind of like. If they weren't doing that, they would be, in a sense, claiming natural. You know what I mean? Like if they didn't talk about what they were
Yeah.
doing, they would be, in a sense, claiming natural. So, because they do tell the truth and because they are open about things, right? I guess I can't say anything because I'd rather them be open about it and be open about taking PEDs than lying about it. So.
Yeah.
My only
That's
problem would be is if, kids are hitting them up and they're saying, "Yeah, take this, take that, take this, take that." Like
right.
like yeah, I would be really against, someone like say the same scenario, right? They have a 17-year-old kid that asks them if they should hop on, and if if they said yes and told them what to take, I think that's very wrong because in a sense you're telling someone else to risk their health and you're partly responsible for them risking their health if you like tell them what to take, tell them what to do. But if you're just posting your own journey and you're being open with what you take, I'd rather them do that than lie about being natural. Cause I think, above all, if you're not going to be natty, all right, cool, to each their own, but just don't be a fake natty.
No, that's valid. So, do you think that since like, do you think I'd be a good contender for taking rights?
Like, do I think that you're a fake natty?
No, no. Like, do you think I'd be like a good contender? Like, I'd be a good like like if I hopped on roids, I would I'd be like it would fix my small frame.
Oh, if you hopped on roids, it would fix your small frame. Honestly, I think if you hopped on roids, you'd be ugly. Your face would be bloated. You'd probably get some acne and you'd hold some water. You'd lose some shreds. And I think like your nose would kind of get a little fat. And I think that, all your followers that used to like you for being like Mog Waffle guy, they'd call you like bloat face guy.
You call me like
And
trend waffle guy.
yeah, and then I would have to just like be like, Davis Penny is no longer a peak natty. He's a bloat goat.
Oh, goat. Okay. Okay. That's
No, in all
valid.
honesty, guys, I like, dude, they're to each their own when it comes to taking gear. But if you're 19 years old, like Davis is, you don't need gear. You need to grow and you need to become a peak natural. And he looks absolutely insane, especially now that he has dialed in his lean bulk.
What do
And
you think about
I don't think you have a small frame.
thank you. Leading into that, what do you think of some people's ascensions as of recently, being Dorian?
Uh, I just think it's dumb to take all those compounds while you're young. Um, like, man, if you can build an insanely natural physique without, risking your health, like, why would you not just be happy with continuing to improve yourself, your natural physique? You're always gonna want more and more and more and more, and you're never gonna be satisfied. And then when you do have to come off those things and you look worse and you're not at your best, you're just gonna be in your own head and you're just gonna be having body dysmorphia from your best self when you were on gear, when you were on that assistance. So like, why not just achieve a great natural physique, risk free and just keep building on it? Like, what's the point of hopping on things that you're risking your life for when you already built a great physique? Like, this is a great question. At what point is it enough? It'll
And
never be enough.
someone that's a really good example that's a natural is Lex Little. He's had longevity because he's been natural, because he's improved his physique every single year. If he hopped on stuff for like 3 years ago and then he had to come off now, people wouldn't be watching him just because it wouldn't be as peak anymore. It'd be like, oh, okay. But he's progressed every single year naturally. And that's why he has longevity in the social media realm.
He also did a drug tested powerlifting meet, which he PR'd in. So for anyone that doesn't think he's natural, right? You don't, if you had come off gear to pass a drug test, you don't PR, you don't get stronger, right? You'd only
Yeah.
get weaker coming off. So, and you can just tell, man, like Gear has side effects. You can tell people's faces change when they're on gear. We've all seen the Trent twins face transformation.
I just saw that recently. It's bad.
It's
Mike
bad.
it's bad.
It's
But
bad.
I'm more curious to see with this new aesthetic revolution that we're having as of like the past 2 years. Like that's kind of what like I'm in that field. A lot of other people at Jesse. This generation of guys hops on, I'm just curious to see like where that leads all the people who are following us. I'm really curious to see that.
All right, Davis. The clip in question everybody's been waiting for. Is the beef between you and Dorian real?
Is the beef real?
Is the beef real?
Good question. That's a good question. Is the beef real between me and Dorian? Uh, I think it's a one-sided beef, and it's not on my end. I don't have beef with this guy. We were supposed to meet up, me, him, and PT Toddy, and he bailed on us last minute, which is chill. He said something came up. It's literally what he said verbatim. He followed me on TikTok, and I DM'd him, and I said, "What's your favorite ghost flavor?" And he said, "Oh, just the one I haven't had in a while." And I said, "Okay, valid." Kind of weird question with no like context at all. But my plan was when we met up, I was going to get him his favorite ghost flavor. So I thought it
What a
was being
nice guy.
kind of like a chill, chill guy, whatever. Kind of weird, but like with context, it makes sense. Bills, and I actually did end up letting him know, like, yeah, I got you a ghost. It's whatever though. Like, don't worry about it. I check later. He unfollowed me like a month after that. Whatever. It's chill. Kind of weird. It's whatever. But just weird ego. And then I meet him in Arizona when I'm visiting Gabe, and they're kind of weird. I don't know. Like the vibes were a little weird. We hit our lift. They were kind of avoiding us. Maybe I don't know. And then we went to go pose, and they didn't really want to take any videos with us. I will say Varis did take a video with me, so I appreciate you, Varis.
Varys is a
I don't know.
Chad.
Varis is a Chad. I don't
I
know how he
love that
feels about
guy.
me now. I don't know how that group feels about me right now. It seems like they've been kind of clowning on me as of recently. My name just gets brought up by that group, and they use my name as like a joke. It's fine. I don't really mind. But where it gets a little frustrating is when I get called out for hopping on roids and not fixing my small frame. I don't care if you think I have small clavicles. That's chill. You can think I have small clavicles. You can think I have a bad frame. But where I draw the line is saying that I hopped on and I still look like shit. Because now you're claiming that I hopped on, which I would have to
That's
have
so
some level of, yeah,
contradictory. Yeah, that's so
it is
contradictory.
like there would have to be some level of, okay, I got bigger. So it's a little weird. So I'm gonna take that as a compliment. So thank you for that. It was also a picture of me that he used where I was fasted. It was two different pictures. Number one, that was like the worst picture of me, and I used that on purpose. It was a screenshot from a video of me posing where I just look really flat because it was before I carved up. It was my peak depletion before my show, and then a picture of me like bulked. It was like a month ago now, where I thought I looked pretty lean because I was fasted, no pump in my bathroom. So I was like, he used two bad pictures of me and then said I had a shitty frame. So it's just kind of frustrating. Makes it sound like this beef isn't as one sided as it may have sounded before. I'm a little frustrated with just that, but like, I mean, at the end of the day, I was a fan of him. I watch his videos. I think he's a very influential guy for sure. Like whatever Dorian does, people follow, and that's great. I'm happy for him in that context. But it's a little weird how he called me out, and it's weird that he has this thing against me when I don't feel like I've ever done anything wrong to him, and I think I'm a pretty decent dude, and he just has this weird vendetta against me, and the friend group now is using me to troll him or is like they don't like me either. So it just feels weird, Like what do you think? Do you think the friend group dislikes me? What do you think?
I don't know. You haven't done anything. You've done nothing to make
Exactly.
them dislike you. So, man, influencer drama, guys.
Sure.
This is why I just coach, right? I don't want to be an influencer. I just want to coach. build an elite army of peak natties. But yeah, holy influencer drama. This kind of clears up things for, anyone that didn't know too much about it. Obviously, I had seen the clips and I had seen the drama and I knew there was some beef, but I didn't know there was some extent to it like this. And my honest question is why is it even going on? You did nothing to them. Like, I don't know. I think they
I'm having the
just,
same question. I'm confused.
yeah,
Most
we'll have to
recent
get to the
update.
bottom of that.
Yeah, no, I think so. The most recent update of this is I was in a live. Varis invited me to, and Jesse Wilson was in the live as well. And Jesse Wilson was at the Breathe Divinity photo shoot that
Oh
Dorian
yeah,
was at.
yeah.
So Varis was talking to me. I don't know where me and Varis stand. It's all good. I'm chill with him. He can be chill with me if he wants. But he's like, what's this beef? We got to squash this beef. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Obviously, I know what's going on. Whatever. Dorian comes into frame. He sees me, and I'm like, what's up? And he doesn't really say anything. And Varis is like, let's squash the beef with Davis Penny. And he's like, there is no beef. And then he turned like this and like went on his phone. So I think he was a little scared. He was a little scared of me. That's all I have to say.
Wow, that is a clip. Wow.
But
Man, influencer drama.
what can I
Well,
say?
hey, to each their own. To each their own when it comes to hopping on PEDs at a young age, but I think that it is just not worth the risks when you can achieve it all naturally. And I have so many answers to people that think that, you can't achieve it all naturally. There's so many people that have achieved greatness in the fitness industry without steroids. They've achieved fame. They've achieved, making it a career for themselves. They've achieved great things in natural bodybuilding without steroids. A couple people who I look up to who have made it, naturally, right? So this is my mission, to show you guys that you can do this all naturally. And I want to bring some of these guys on the podcast to talk about how they made it naturally, by the way, Peak Natties only. And then obviously I also want to build something and build my coaching empire and, build a bodybuilding career for myself naturally, chasing that natural IFBB pro card. We've already got the OCB pro card, baby. But yeah, a couple of guys I look up to, like, dude, just there's so many. Like, dude, Casey Kelly has completely made it in the fitness industry, killing it on YouTube. He's natural. Obviously, down here in AZ, I see him every day at the gym. Cam Kissel, the one guy that can post his workouts and have every single one blow up. Insane natural physique, but he's 24, and that's all it takes. It takes being a middle-aged man. It just takes years of training, right? By the time I get to 24, I hope I can be as big as him. He just has more years of training. That's all it takes. Brinks, natural IFBB pro, right? I think he's 25 now. Seeing a common theme. These guys are just a little bit older. They've been training longer. So anyone listening to this that wants to make it, just put your head down and realize, maybe you just need to be a little bit older so you can have more size on you. All right. Some more naturals, man, dude. There is so many. My good friend, Caleb Deweese, just absolutely killing it as a natural. Insane physique.
Unreal physique.
Davis right here. All right, guys. He's killing it on TikTok, on YouTube now, especially. He's natural. There's a ton of other guys. Lex Little,
Gabe
who's
Deutsch.
a peak natural. Gabe Deutsch, Steph Myers. Dude,
love those guys.
And countless more. TNF is a huge natural inspiration, right? He stays natural. Another natural bodybuilder who's killing it these days is Fonz. He's natural, so that's cool to see. Who did you look up to growing up?
Who did I look up to?
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest.
Are you David Lade?
When I first started listening, it was definitely David Lade. Okay. Lex, I watched all of Lex's YouTube videos like clockwork. Like I would be waiting for him to drop. I'd watch all of his videos within the first hour of posting. Like I was watching all of his shit. And then Trend Twins when they came up, but obviously they're not natural. They're just good content creators. But then what really like made me want to compete was when I first started watching Michael. Like Michael, I was a diehard fan of Michael Donato. That was definitely someone that I really looked up to more so than anyone. So that's why it was crazy when he reached out to me. Like I was a huge MD fan, and like I've been tapped into all his lore. I don't even know if he knows that I'm a big fan of him, but it's my boy now.
Do you know who Quinton Polium is? He's another
Yeah,
guy who's made it in the industry, and
crazy.
he's natty, crazy physique. So I look up to him as well, and I like his content. So now where I'm at, social media and coaching wise, I like follow guys for their content and not necessarily
Mm,
because like I look up to them or like I'm a
yeah,
fan of them. I genuinely like to see the quality of other people's content and how I can improve my own content to be entertaining, provide value. So I really like the type of content he posts.
that's sick. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you can definitely make it as a natural. Just
Yeah.
you got to stay in the game long, and a lot of it's just hard because you should start lifting younger for sure, but it's just you got to be doing it for forever, and that's the issue that I run into because I just want to be aesthetic, and I feel that there's a timeline on my social media presence, and that's what scares me, I guess. And I think a lot of other people too. They just want to blow up on social media, and that makes it hard, I guess.
Yeah, dude, it's all but here's the thing. I've also told this to people because I unfortunately as well, especially being surrounded by a lot of college kids, run into kids that are trying to hop on peptides or gear all the time. And I always tell them, man, you always think you're gonna be fine until you're not. You always think you're gonna be side effect free until you're not. So why not just dial in naturally and chase a great handsome maxing, looks maxing, shred maxing, aesthetic maxing, whatever you want to do, bodybuilding, physique naturally because it's possible. You're living
Definitely.
proof of it. Like, especially with that reverse diet, dude. Like, wow, I'm still super impressed by that.
Thank you, bro. That means a lot from a coach. What do you think? What do you think about if peptides? There's talks about peptides potentially being allowed in the natural federations. What do you think? Or if that is like a hypothetical scenario, what do you think about peptides then?
Um, I would always evaluate the risk. Even if something is allowed, doesn't mean it's beneficial, right? You should ask yourself with that in every life situation. Just because it's permissible doesn't mean it's beneficial. So I would ask myself that. And if it was, permissible and beneficial, then I might take it. But if it's not beneficial and there's potential side effects that I wouldn't want to risk, then I probably wouldn't, and I would still smoke these fools with or without it.
It's just yeah, it's just hard knowing that if you hopped up on
Yeah.
stage and someone basically had like a light work prep of basically no cardio and they had no hunger signals because they were on Retta and you step up on stage and they beat you and they didn't have to do half the cardio you did. They didn't have to suffer like you did. It would just suck knowing that they beat me, or you beat them, I guess. But
Yeah, well, thankfully there will always be natural organizations where the drug testing is really good, the polygraphs are really good, and if you truly want to compete as a natural against other naturals, you are protected by the organization. But obviously, yeah, even when I plan to do my untested show, I'm going to be going up there, knowing that all these guys around me are on exogenous hormones, and I'm okay with that
yeah,
because at the end of the day, like I said, I'm not too concerned with others. Like, I'm not, to each their own. I'm not too concerned with someone else hopping on gear or someone else choosing to risk their life. All I would do is, ask them why. Like, why is it worth it to you? Why is it worth it to you to risk your health? And, like, to each their own. But yeah, me personally, I am just, I'm here to show that it's possible naturally. And there's so many
can
guys
I
in
can I
the
test for peps?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Especially, dude,
Oh, really?
a lot of organizations do use the polygraph, which is pretty accurate these days. Especially in 2026 with the technology we have now and the
Okay.
refinement there's been to polygraphs. A lot of people think that they aren't accurate and you can skip them, but they're pretty accurate now. Like, it's 2026, guys. Like, they're they work. They're used for a reason, and they're expensive for a reason because they work.
True.
Dude, some orgs like the WNBF, bro, they will blood test, hair test. There's some stricter organizations than the OCB as well.
Okay, yeah, because I always thought like people will reach out to me and they're like, "Yo, does the OCB test for peptides?" And my response is not necessarily because it's a polygraph, and then I'm pretty sure it won't come up in the P test because
Yeah.
it's the branches of amino acids, so you can't really tell. But with the
I don't think
polygraph,
they
like you just
test
have
for
to
it in the
do
P
some
test
testing.
either. Yeah,
I don't
the
think
type
you.
of P test, the type of P test they send is like to WADA, and it would just be for like
Mhm.
basic hormone steroids. So the way to get
Yeah,
busted in the OCB would be, getting busted by the lie detector test. And if on in all honesty, if you know you're taking something and you lie on the lie detector test and you somehow get past it, there is no true reward in that. Like, what does that
yeah,
do
I've
for
never
you to
understood that.
compete? I never understood that. What does that do for you to compete in a natural league? Know you're cheating and then, go beat guys that are natural. Like, what does cheating do for you? There's no fulfillment in that. Like, why would anybody ever do that?
It just it does not make sense. I literally don't get. Again, I've had people reach out and they're asking me that, but I'm like, if it's banned, don't go into the show. If it's banned, like, or don't be taking it as you're prepping for the show. I don't think it'll have lasting effects to any of the peptides. Like, so you could probably go cold turkey like 2 weeks before you start prep, but even then, regardless, there's no point in taking it, guys. Like, it's not going to give you I think a lot of them are cope. To be honest, a lot of the peptides are cope. Reta and MT2 are probably the only peptides that actually do anything, and there's no point in doing that for the show. It kills all the hard work that you'd be putting in and all the reward that you'd gain from competing naturally. So it just doesn't make sense to me.
Unfortunately, if you guys didn't know, there are some cheaters that do compete in natural leagues. I have heard this from other coaches.
Crazy.
This
Crazy.
other coach that I was listening to recently, he was just telling some stories of, guys that he knows literally personally that choose to cheat and compete in natural orgs when they have taken stuff before. And like, yeah, I guess, that's happened and occasionally does happen and will probably always happen due to the morality of individuals on this planet, unfortunately. But like, I just, what do they get out of that, Davis?
I
Like,
was trying to think the same thing. Like, what do you gain from that? Because
dude,
in your
yeah,
head that you didn't work as hard
how,
as they did.
how did they live with themselves knowing that they cheated for a medal? They cheated
It's
for a
just not as
postcard.
rewarding. It's just not as
Yeah.
rewarding ultimately. I don't get it. Like, why
Because
not
it's not the true,
just
you
go
didn't
compete?
truly earn it. You cheated.
No.
How do you get
Right.
fulfillment from
That's
cheating?
true cheating. Yeah, that's actually cheating. It
So,
just doesn't make
yeah,
sense to me. It would be so frustrating if I hopped on stage knowing that I didn't potentially win because someone cheated and they just felt good holding a medal. It doesn't make any sense to me. I literally cannot imagine that.
cheaters ruin a lot of things, man. So sad.
True.
But yeah, unfortunately, it does happen. Hopefully, they can keep getting stricter and stricter and more locked in with the polygraph tests. But hopefully, that will prevent any cheaters and catch them before they even get on stage. Because if you guys didn't know, the polygraph is the night before to hopefully prevent any cheaters from even getting on stage. Because they, even if they do get caught in the P test, it strips away the glory from the real winner. The non
Yeah.
cheater. If a cheater does place over someone who was actually natural. So it's really sad stuff. So with all things in life, don't ever cheat, no matter what it is, natural bodybuilding or not. It at the end of the day, the truth always comes out. The truth always comes out, Davis.
It's true.
So we'll have to get the truth on that beef for sure and see
Yeah.
why there is some beef because I'm interested.
I have no idea, bro. I basically know just as much as you. Do you have any input on that from because you have a little bit, you saw what happened when I first met him, like vibes and
Yeah,
everything. What do you think?
honestly, I have no clue. I have no idea. These days, I have plenty of friends and know plenty of people that are on gear and nothing against them, but with what I'm trying to promote, I kind of stick to myself and, stick to having other peak natties on the podcast. But, you know, who knows? Hopefully the truth will come out. But it's very interesting, and it's nice to hear your side of things. That nothing really happened, because I'm sure everybody sees the drama on TikTok and the clips, but they might not know the whole story. So at least you were able to go ahead and tell them the whole story.
Yeah. Last thing on that, I never claimed to mug this guy. I never claimed to be bigger. Just know that right now, I mean, like I'm a bigger person. I'm a bigger person. I have a bigger heart. So I have so much love in my heart to give, and you're trying to bring me down. That hurts my heart. That hurts my heart, genuinely. So you should feel bad because you hurt me.
Davis, you're such a nice guy, man. You're such a nice guy.
Thanks,
Hey, at
Gabe.
the end of the day, we're called to love all people. So I love all people, even people, blasting PEDs. I still love them.
Yes.
I still love them, even though I think it's not worth the risks, right? I still love them, right? Show love to all people, even people that, are mean to you and hate on you and trash your image.
Yeah. I think everyone sees that I'm not the one in the wrong for this too. Like a lot of people are on my side. It just doesn't make sense why I got dragged through the mud. So I appreciate all the support out there for me. I'm not really hurting if you can't tell. I'm not that upset about it, but it's just confusing.
Okay.
That's
Hey,
all.
will you be at the Arnold?
I will be at the Arnold.
I will be there too. So
All
I will
right,
see you
next.
there.
I'm super excited for the
We will
Arnold.
definitely have to smash a lift and get some solid picks with me, you, and Mark.
Of course.
Speaking of Mark, he is looking absolutely insane, and dude, like, he's just proof that if you just invest in yourself and you stay locked in 24/7 and you have true belief, man, like, you can make it, and you can make a name for
Yeah.
yourself if you just keep being consistent and consistent and consistent. So speaking of that, I want to hear from you, Davis, some of your goals and your dreams and things that you have planned in the future.
Okay. I mean, I'm gonna say it for the last time. I need my natural pro card. I will have my natural pro card at some point, whether that's this summer or in 2 years from now. I'm gonna have that natural pro card. That is my number one goal, and I think the rest will follow with my other goals. My other goals for this year is I would love to have 100K on TikTok. I will have 100K on TikTok. I will have 10K on YouTube, and I want 20K on Insta. So those are my number goals for social media this year. And there's no doubt that I can't hit that. I'm just gonna keep grinding, doing my thing. And you can't stop me. Whoever's out there trying to stop me, you can't. I'm gonna overtake you. So be ready for that. Those are my big goals. I'm gonna keep grinding. I'm gonna keep grinding coaching. Overall, I'm gonna just keep doing what I'm doing because that's what I do best. And I'm a dreamer, and I'm gonna shoot for the stars. I'm gonna land on the moon regardless. So this is my year. That's all I gotta say.
If it's your passion, why not chase it? Why not chase it? So you do see yourself doing
Exactly.
social media, coaching type of thing full time for a living?
Yes,
Awesome.
most definitely. That's what I'm here for.
Hey guys, find what you're passionate about and monetize it. Find what you're passionate about and monetize it. And no matter how many hours you're working, if you truly love your work, you'll never feel like you're working, right? If it's your passion. So just some encouragement for you guys. But as we wrap up, I want you to give everybody listening one piece of advice for life. It doesn't have to be bodybuilding wise. It can just be like kind of one quote you live by, or one quote that has helped you stay disciplined when it comes to social media, bodybuilding, and all your future goals and aspirations.
Definitely. I love that. The number one advice that I could give to anyone listening, to any of your followers, to any of my followers, is to live for experiences. So what that means to me is create as many experiences as you can in your lifetime, because a lot of people go to job and they work to live and they live to work. That's their entire lives. They all they know when they look back on their lives when they're on their deathbed is going to work. That is so sad to me. So even if you're broke, go experience life. Go see as many things as you can see. Go do as many things as you can do because you want to build memories at the end of the day, and that's a life worth living, in my opinion.
That's a life worth living, man, dude. I couldn't have said it better myself. Chase your dreams, chase your passions, right? Chase a life worth living and, do it all. Do it all, man. Go hard. But what you guys realize, what you guys have to realize is it's not going to be handed to you. You've got to earn it and you've got to put in the necessary inputs day after day to get there. No one's going to give you a handout. As a man, you shouldn't be wanting handouts from anyone. You shouldn't be expecting handouts. You need to earn whatever it is you're chasing yourself, whether it's money, whether it's a career, whether it's a pro card, whether it's, whatever sport you're doing, whether it's whatever, goal or dream you're chasing. No one's going to hand it to you. No handouts in 2026. Go ahead and chase it yourself and put in the inputs necessary every single day. And as the months go by and as the momentum grows, you will get there. I appreciate having you on, Davis, man. It was such a pleasure having you. I'm going to go ahead and end the recording. Thanks for coming on the Team Peak Natty podcast. Thanks for coming on the Peak Natty podcast. I can't wait to see you at the Arnold and also see your potential show prep this summer. It's going to be fun.
Yes, bro. Thank you for having me.